You are not ready for this. You think you want power, but what you're really asking for is control over others. Before you've learned to control yourself, this isn't a life lesson. This isn't moral guidance. This is psychological warfare, and you're the one pulling the trigger. Because manipulation isn't deception. It's precision. It's not trickery. It's architecture. You don't lie to people. You place truths where they will be misread. You don't chase. You shift perception until they chase themselves. You don't raise your voice. You lower it and let their silence collapse the rest. But make no mistake, you cannot fake this. To master manipulation, you must first strip down the illusion you built around yourself. The illusion that says, I'm a good person. I don't play games. I want connection, not control. Lies. You've been playing a game since the moment you learned how to cry. Manipulation is not an add-on. It is the human condition weaponized. And tonight, we expose it. Every move, every tactic, every psychological hack buried beneath your survival instinct. Not for followers, not for peace, but for dominance, pure, refined, and executed through 40 tactics that will fracture the minds around you. If you can handle the mirror. Because before you can manipulate anyone else, you must first manipulate the version of you that still flinches, still doubts, still obeys old programming. And that version, it dies tonight. Here's how this war is structured. Phase 1. We install your internal operating system. The manipulator's code. Cognitive tactics, emotional misdirection, neural triggers. We reprogram how you see people, not as friends or threats, but as systems. Phase 2, we test the cost. Because every manipulator pays a price, and the ones who don't calculate it lose control to the very weapons they've mastered. Phase 3, we teach you how to carry this without self-destruction, to walk into a room, distort reality, and still return to your humanity before it's erased. You've been warned. This is not about feeling powerful. This is about becoming untouchable, without becoming a ghost. This isn't a pep talk. This is a psychological override. You will never see people the same again. You will never hear silence the same again. And after tonight, you won't even trust your own smile. So choose now. Stay or don't watch at all. Warning 1. The lie that forgets it's a lie. When you stop feeling, you start forgetting. At first, you only manipulate others. Soon, you begin manipulating yourself. You convince your mind that every connection is a transaction. Every vulnerability, a weakness to be extracted, not respected. And you win. You win respect, silence, obedience. You win advantage. But in that victory, you start forgetting how it felt to lose, to be soft, to be sincere. Emotional amnesia is the tax on manipulation. You begin editing your memories, turning kindness into naivety, love into leverage, pain into power. But here's the cost. When you stop feeling, you stop storing truth. Not because your brain is broken, but because it no longer knows what's real. Manipulation teaches you to say what must be said, but say it enough, and you forget what you believe. Now everything you feel becomes suspect. You'll look at your own reflection and wonder if even that was manufactured. Warning 2. The weapon that turned on its wielder. In the beginning, power is survival. You manipulate to protect, to restore control where there was once chaos. But slowly, that control becomes addiction. You stop reacting. You start calculating. You stop connecting. You start engineering. Your words aren't conversation. They're code. Your presence doesn't comfort. It distorts. And the more skilled you become, the less room you leave for truth. People stop telling you how they feel because you've trained them to believe that feelings are liabilities, even theirs. So they perform for you, smile for you, fear you. You think it's respect, it's compliance, and you feed on it because control tastes cleaner than chaos. But what happens when control becomes your default language? You become sterile, cold, powerful, but empty. The manipulator becomes the prisoner of his own theater. You don't build trust, you simulate it. You don't receive love, you extract it. But no one knows you, not even you. Warning 3. The fortress that forgot the door. Mastery of manipulation means you see the play before it's played. You see intentions before they speak. You see strategies behind smiles, and it makes you untouchable. You spot every trick. You read every silence. You dissect every move. But here's the paradox. When nothing surprises you, nothing moves you. And when no one can reach you, not even to hurt you, they can't touch you at all. You start to feel above connection. You start to equate distance with dominance. The fortress you built to protect yourself becomes the prison that keeps you from being seen. Conversations feel like chess. Affection feels like infiltration. You no longer let anyone close, because closeness is now a calculated risk. You've become the master of detachment and the casualty of intimacy. Yes, you're the ghost in the room, unshakable, unreadable, unreachable. But ghosts aren't feared, they're forgotten. And that's what awaits the manipulator who never deconstructs the mask. A legacy built not on power, but isolation. You asked for power, you got it. But don't forget what it's costing you every time you sharpen the blade. Because one day, the silence you engineered around you won't just be strategy. It'll be real, and you won't remember how to break it. Part 3, the ritual of return. Step 1, control the emotion. Keep the signal. Emotion is not your enemy. It's noise when uncontrolled, but data when deciphered. The manipulator who ignores his emotions becomes blind to the internal compass that separates control from corruption. Don't silence the signal. Filter it. Let anger rise. Then ask, what truth is this guarding? Let sadness linger. Then ask, what loss have I not processed? Feel the weight, but don't flinch. Observe the surge, but don't serve it. You don't obey your feelings. You interrogate them. You extract the code buried inside them. And that signal becomes your guidance system, not your God. Step 2, be ruthless with the world. Gentle somewhere, edge is required. Armor is necessary. But if you swing the sword everywhere, you will eventually cut what matters. There must be one space, no matter how small, where the blade is set down. A single place for truth, for softness, for surrender. Not to weaken, but to remember. That could be a journal that never lies. A human who sees you beneath the mask. A ritual where the mind quiets and the soul breathes. Without this sanctuary, your sharpness will become infection, a weapon with no sheath, always slicing. Pick a place to bleed clean, then walk back out armored again. Step 3, don't become what you escaped from. You manipulated to escape being manipulated. You silenced emotions to escape being ruled by them. You became untouchable to never feel that helpless again. But trauma has a shadow, and it wears your face. If you're not careful, you'll become the very ghost you were running from. You'll wield power without mercy. You'll use silence as a threat. You'll confuse survival with evolution. So audit yourself constantly. Why am I using this tactic? What am I protecting? Am I creating clarity or controlling perception? Because if you become the monster that made you, you've just switched masks, not rewritten the story. Step 4, build a personal code and obey it. Master manipulators justify everything. That's the danger. When you can explain every action, nothing is off limits. So build a code, a brutal, beautiful internal law. It won't be soft, it won't be popular, but it will keep your darkness in alignment. Example, I do not lie when silence will do. I do not control what I do not care for. I speak when the truth serves clarity, not my ego. This code is your cage and your crown. You obey it when no one's watching. Because without it, you're just improvising corruption. Step 5, connect with people who don't fear your power. Power isolates. Manipulation creates distance. Not because no one wants to be close, but because they don't know if what they feel is real. So find those rare few, people who call out your silence, who speak when others bow, who don't mistake your precision for cruelty. These aren't followers, they're mirrors. And they keep your humanity intact without asking you to soften. They respect the storm, but still see the human behind it. And in their presence, you don't have to choose between dominance and dignity. You can be both. Outro, the predator that remembers its name. You came here seeking power, and you found it. Not in a technique, not in a tactic, but in a mirror. Because every manipulation you master, every silence you weaponize, every mind you bend, reveals more about you than them. Control isn't dominance, it's direction. Power without intention becomes noise, loud, aimless, corrosive. But the manipulator who remembers why he manipulates, the strategist who bends perception with purpose, he doesn't become a villain, he becomes a force. Here's the final fracture line. The monster devours. The master decides. The monster hides behind tactics. The master wields them and stays visible. It's not weakness to be known. It's strength to choose visibility in a world of ghosts. Don't vanish into the shadow you built. Don't become a myth others fear, but never feel. Because real psychological supremacy, it's not becoming untouchable. It's becoming undeniable, not by losing your humanity, but by commanding it. Carry your darkness, sharpen it, but don't let it erase the one thing that makes it powerful: your will. You don't need to be cold to be respected. You need to be clear, and no mask, not even a masterful one, will ever replace that. Stay sharp, stay seen, stay dangerous, on purpose.